In today's video, we're going to be learning how to draft this gorgeous and trendy bustier with side gathers. It has this gathered off shoulder sleeves, as you can see. It is a really beautiful dress. I hope you like the dress. It is a very trendy style these days. Hello, my YouTube friends. My name is Q and this is Q's Beyond Fashion. Let's get started, shall we? To get started, we're going to make use of our torso basic bodice that we've already made. To learn how to make your own, you can check the video link in the description box. We start by measuring our waist to knee measurement, which is 25 inches in our case, and then we make a mark. We repeat the process on the other side just to make sure that we are able to draw a straight line. We mark the 25 inches, and then we can draw a straight line, which is going to be our knee line. Next, we are going to extend the center front line to our knee line. And then we're going to take the measurement which is along our hip line, that is 11.75 in our case, and then we're going to mark the same measurement along the knee line, mark 11.75 inches, and then we draw a straight line from the knee line to the hip line. Next, we're going to draw a straight line at the center of our waist dart, and we're going to join it to the hip line and also to the bust point. Next, we are going to measure 4 inches, which is half the nipple to nipple measurement. We are going to mark the measurement along the hip line. Next, we extend the line on the nipple to nipple measurement to the hip line. Next, we measure our under bust length from the bust point, which is 4 inches. But first, we have to mark the bust point, which is found on the true bust line. Next, we draw a circle around our bust point, and the radius of the circle should be 4 inches. The compasses these days are not as strong as during our time. This thing keeps opening anyhow, and anyway, let's continue, shall we? Finish up the circle, and then next we are going to start contouring the bust point. Measure 0.5 inches on both sides of the waist dart. Follow the circle as you take the measurements and then make some marks. And then square a line from the point down to the waistline. Repeat the process on the other side of the dart. And then draw the lines down to the end of the waist dart at the bottom. Next, measure 1 inch from the bust point going down and then make a mark. And then join the lines using a curve. Make sure you draw the curve to the point that we have just marked. Also do the same on the other side. Join the points using a curve up to the point we marked. Then use a marker to make all the lines more visible. And then go down from the waist by 2 inches and then make a mark. Next, join the point to the end of the waist dart using a curve. You can use your free hand if you don't have a curved ruler. Now we contour the bust at the top. We measure 1 inch on one side of the shoulder dart, and then we make a mark. Make sure you follow the circle, and then you repeat the process on the other side. Measure 1 inch and make a mark. And then next we are going to join the point to the bust point using a curve. And then draw a straight line from this point to the center front. Make sure it is straight. And then join the point on the side to the underarm point using a slight curve. Make sure the curve is not very deep. And then we are going to snatch the waistline by 0.25 of an inch. And we make a mark, and then we join the new point to the bust point and also to the hip point. Next, we are going to mark out all the darts. After that, we are going to divide the side panel of the skirt into 4 equal parts. We are first going to use a tape measure and fold it into 2 and make a mark. And then again we are going to fold the tape measure into 4 and then we mark a quarter of the measurement. We are going to repeat the process at the top of our side panel. We divide it into 4. Next, we use a ruler to join the points into straight lines that run up to the curve at the top. We do it for all the points. Next, we cut out the pattern. Make sure you keep the yoke at the top for later use. Next, we separate the pattern along the waist, and in my case we are going to use the lower waist because I'm a busty person. And then don't forget to label all the pattern pieces as I'm doing now. Mark the pieces of the side skirt by numbers 1 up to 4 so that you don't mix them up when cutting. Now these are the front pieces for our dress. We are done cutting them. There are quite many pieces and you have to make sure you keep them safe as we are working on our back pattern. Next, we work on the back. We start by measuring the length from our waist to our knee line, which is 25 inches. Next, we make a mark and then we take the same measurement on the other side and then we draw a straight line which is going to be our knee line. Extend our center back line to the hip line. Next, we measure the hip line, which is 11.25 inches, and then we mark the same measurement along the knee line. And then we join the new point on our knee line to the hip line. At the top, we are going to mark our bust line and then label it as such. From the bust line, we measure down 1 inch along the center back. And then we join the new point to the underarm using a curve. 4 inches along our hip line and also along our bust line. That is our half the nipple to nipple measurement. We also do the same along our knee line. Next, we draw a straight line extending from the knee line up to the center of our waist dart, up to the bust line. At the top, along the curve, we are going to measure 0.25 of an inch on either side of the line. Next, we are going to join the new points to the waist dart. Again, we snatch the side of our waist by 0.25 of an inch. And then we join the new point with a curve to the underarm and also to the hip line. To eliminate the zip bulge at the center back, we are going to measure in 3/4 of an inch and make a mark. And then we are going to join the new point to the top of the back using a curve. And we also draw a curve to about 3/4 down to the hip line. And then again we mark out all the darts. Next, we measure 2 inches from the waistline going down and then we make a mark. We are going to join that new point to the end of the waist dart using a curve. If you don't have a curved ruler, you can just use your free hand, but make sure it's a nice and a smooth curve. Next, we are going to divide the side panel of our skirt into 4 equal parts. Do it along our knee line, and we are also going to do the same along our hip line. We measure the length of the line, and then fold our tape measure into 2 and mark half the line, and then we fold our tape measure again into a quarter and then mark the 4 quarters. And then we join all the points with a straight line that is going to extend up to the curve at the top. We do it for all the points that have been marked. Next, we label the center back pieces and also the side back pieces. We also identify the pieces of our side skirt by numbers 1 up to 4, and then we cut them out. Take your time around the curve and also slash the pieces out. Continue cutting the rest of the pattern. Now, if you like, you can leave all the patterns as a one piece and not separate them along the waist. This is just to show you what they would look like. I hope you can see. But in my case, obviously, I have to separate them since I already separated the front pattern. So now we are going to go ahead and separate them along the waistline. And then we go ahead and label all the pattern pieces. Make sure that every piece is correctly labeled. And then we go ahead and mark the center back to make sure that it's clear and visible. That marks the end of our pattern drafting video. Next, we are going to cut the pieces on the fabric and then we are going to sew them together. Make sure you don't miss our next video. Leave us a comment and also subscribe to our channel, and see you next time. Remember, God is our strength. See you next time and bye-bye.